Thanks for having me, and thanks to Ansha for arranging this. Education is, it's the most transformational and powerful tool in the world. And when I see initiatives that are being integrated with technology to bring world-class education to India, then I find that whole proposition to be extremely inspiring. And the reason I say this is because whilst Indian academic education is world-class, education needs to go beyond academics. And I really strongly believe that the difference between traditional education and life education is that traditional education teaches you only how to make a living, but life education teaches you how to make a life and how to make a fortune. And so when you combine traditional education with life education, it becomes an extremely powerful combination. And I consider, my people say to me, what do you do, Ron? You're a wealth advisor, you're an author, you're a speaker. What do you actually do? And I say, I'm a teacher in my spirit. That's really who I am. And I love teachers. And I want teachers to become the celebrities of tomorrow. I don't want athletes and actors. I want teachers to be the celebrities of tomorrow, because teachers add the most transformational value than any other professional. A good teacher who is able to provide outcomes and results and is able to shift paradigms is the most important and influential person in the student's life. And so I'm on a mission to bring world-class education to India, but also to bring transformational life education that integrates intellect with emotional intelligence, with financial intelligence, commercial intelligence, spiritual intelligence, and heart-based intelligence to create holistically successful human beings. And so I'm really excited to be here, and I really respect the work that Ansha is doing, and it's an honor. And so thank you for welcoming me.
Thank you so much, Ron, for your brief introduction. I think we should also we will also look forward from you to know more about your program on the successful male, how it is going to support women in terms of their empowerment. While we know that we need not empower anybody. Everybody has their own power. The only thing what we can do is provide an ecosystem or environment which is more growth oriented for them. And I really feel that your program can help into that. So if you can throw some light on that, it would be really great.
Thank you, Ansha. I remember the first time I started sharing about the successful male in 2015. A lot of women jumped on and said, and they started to think that I was a sexist. And they said, you know, what's going on? Don't you want to help women? And I was invited to a women's event, and I was talking about the successful male, and a woman got up and she said, excuse me, why are you doing this? And I said, what do you mean? Why am I doing what? She said, why are you helping men? Don't you understand that women need help? And I looked at her and I said, who do you think I'm trying to help? You see, for the last 250,000 years that the human race has been around, we know that women have been oppressed and suppressed for majority of that. Only in the last 3 or 4 decades are women starting to experience the rights and the privileges that men have. Having said that, what has happened also is that the women's liberation movement, instead of just empowering women, certain components and elements started to attack and demonize men. And as a consequence, what we're now seeing is that there are a whole community and section of men that are becoming highly stubborn. And now we've created this friction between the genders. And I looked at this woman and I said to her, I said, look, would you not want to be in a world where more men are self-aware, have more self-control, and have achieved self-mastery? Do you not want to be in a world like that? So the successful male is not anti-women. We determined that the best way and to help women was to raise and develop high quality men who were holistically successful, meaning they had found their life's purpose, they were highly inspired, they had emotional intelligence, they also had financial intelligence, and they were high charactered and disciplined human beings. We know that that type of man becomes an asset to his family, he becomes an asset to his community, he becomes an asset to his industry, and he becomes an asset to his country. So we have already seen that the women's liberation movement, whilst it's done some wonderful things for women, it has created friction between the genders. And so for us, being pro-men doesn't mean that we're anti-women. In fact, we are pro-men because we're pro-women. And I felt that there was no initiative in the market that was bringing men and women together, because men and women are very similar. We both want the same things. We both want to love, we both want to matter, and we want to live a good life. But the message has been lost in translation. And so that's the problem that I'm trying to fix through the Successful Male movement.
Anyways, one thing, Ron, which I would like to ask you is, why did you start Successful Male? Why not something else?
Well, that's because we wanted to redefine success for men. At the moment, you have two types of men generally that you'll see. You have the men that are massively driven by financial success and career success. They're driven by prestige and power. You also have a whole another generation of men that are opting out of the capitalist system. They don't want to work. They want to just do some yoga and meditation. And so you basically have these two extremes, men that are highly driven and then men that have no drive. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to redefine success for men so that success is not just measured in terms of financial or career success. It's also measured in terms of fulfillment, purpose, inspiration, and also making a positive difference. Now, if you ask most people, what does success mean to you? I can tell you that most people cannot answer this question. Most people have no idea what kind of success they're aiming for. They're blindly aiming for the type of success that has been sold to them by the media or by cultural conditioning or by educational conditioning. That's why most people are working in the same direction and trying to achieve the same things. And the fact is that success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. I have dealt with many, many men who have great degrees, and they're making good money, they work in big corporations, they have status and they have prestige, but they lack self-confidence, they lack self-esteem, they have problems with their health, they have problems in their relationship, they have problems in the bedroom. And so the problem is that the entire education system has taught these men how to make a living, but it has taught them nothing about making a life. And so the problem now is that women are bearing the brunt of that in many cases, because when a woman marries a man who is unhappy and unfulfilled, the woman actually has to bear the aggression of that man in many cases, because men are not very good at emotionally connecting with themselves. So typically what happens is a man will start to create problems in the family through aggression or by reaching for that bottle of alcohol. So you have to go to the root cause of the problem. You see, most people are looking at initiatives that fix the symptoms of the problem. Very few people are talking about the root cause of the problem. And the root cause is the education system is inadequate. It's absolutely inadequate. Now, there was research done on who are the most fulfilled people on the planet. And they found that there was a three-part criteria. The most fulfilled people on the planet had identified their life's purpose and were living their life's purpose. They were maximizing their potential, and they were using their potential to make a positive difference in the world. Now, you tell me, how many people do you know, or all the people that are listening, how many people do you know in your entire life, in your entire network, that are living holistically fulfilled life? They're living their passion and their purpose, they're maximizing their potential, and they're making a difference to others. You will find that most men are not in that zone. Even most women are not in that zone. But having said that, women are more emotionally connected with themselves and others. Women typically demonstrate a higher character than men. And one of the things that I said to Anshev yesterday, when we were talking yesterday, I said, look, I said, Ansha, tell me what are the main world problems that exist today? And I said, there's poverty, there's human trafficking, there's sex trafficking, there's drugs, there's violence, there's financial crimes. My next question to Ansha was, how many of the problems that I have listed are human problems? And Ansha said 100%. I said, right. And I said, what percentage of those human problems are caused by the male species? And he said, majority of them. So I said, if you're going to fix the world problems, you've got to start with men. And so we're on a mission, rather than attacking men, which is not the solution, because it's not their fault that the education system and the cultural conditioning didn't teach them this stuff. What we're trying to do is we're saying, let's redefine success for men. So it's holistic, it's not one-dimensional. Let's make sure that they're emotionally intelligent, but they're also spiritually aware, they're socially aware, they've found their purpose, they've got peace of mind, they're healthy, but they're also doing financially and commercially well. Let's integrate the spiritual and the financial to create holistic human beings that will become an asset to their communities, to their families, to their industries, and to their countries. I hope I've answered that question to this as well. But what people are not recognizing is that people have no knowledge of themselves. Like one of the things we did was we looked into traditional psychology, we looked at the science of achievement, we looked into neuroscience, epigenetics, we looked into metaphysics, quantum physics, philosophy, spirituality, and theology to identify the best practices of transformation. And what we realized was that spirituality and science are saying the same things. And they're saying the same things. You've got to know who you are. And who you are is not your name, it's not your nationality, it's not your culture, it's not your body, it's a lot more than that. It's your purpose, it's your passion, it's your values, it's your strengths, it's your mission. You've got to know that. Second thing you've got to learn is how your mind works. Intellect is only one part of your mental faculty. You have several other resources that are available to you mentally, but they're sitting dormant. So one of the reasons we explain to people is that no matter what age you are, neuroplasticity has confirmed that you can change your mind and you can change your results at any age. And you need to know the tools of how to do that. You have to change your subconscious conditioning to change your behaviors permanently. And willpower is not the solution, and motivational speakers are not the solution either. Because motivational speakers make you motivated for 2-3 days, and then what happens? You come back to work and you're back to being the same person. Motivation is not the permanent solution. So the question we asked ourselves is motivation is not the solution, what is the solution? And then we've drafted our entire program and our teachings around what causes long-term and sustainable transformation. So that when a person's thinking changes permanently, how they feel changes permanently, how they act changes permanently, and therefore the results change permanently. So it's an incredible science, and I'm so excited because when people understand it, it's like a whole new shift that happens in their mind. And you see the look in people's faces and you go, my God, my whole life, I have been living like a blind person. Now I finally see how things happen. And we show them the science behind it. And we also say that, you know, you'll be amazed how much of this wisdom is already in the Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, there's already all this wisdom, but it has been misinterpreted and misunderstood and misapplied. So the foundations of what we teach is actually in the scriptures, the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, and you'll find that all of this stuff has been around for generations, but it's been lost. And so it's about integrating that, but creating practical application of that from that education to get desirable outcomes. This is what we found no one was doing in the world.
Absolutely, Ron. So I think, do you have anybody who has any other questions? Otherwise, you know, I think we can then move to the next speaker.
Except Poonam, please. Only joking, Poonam.
I know, Ron, that you can, and I would like to hear this again, you know, more and more. But I think let's set up another forum specifically for this, for the successful male, because the way you are working out on this initiative is not just making male successful, it's also creating wonders for the women. And so the combination of the successful male and wonder women is the core theme of women empowerment. Ideally, it should be, because it has to be gender neutral. So the way your thought process is right now working and the way you are envisioning it is going to really make a difference in the society. And we will definitely would take it up across the globe, because that is required very, very much. So thanks, Ron, for joining at such a late hour and still being part of us.
Thank you. Thank you.